Dave, will Ryan McLeod play today?
No, he won't. No, still a little bit under the weather today, so we'll leave him out.
Okay, thank you.
Reed Wilkins, 6:30 Chad.
Dave, regardless of the result today, this team is going to have the 7th best regular season points percentage in Oilers history. And look, I know you're thinking bigger things than that, but in the context of the franchise, that just wonder what you think about the significance of that, because there's been some pretty awesome teams here.
Well, the one thing we want to accomplish is we want to become a playoff team every year, a team that contends for the Stanley Cup every year, and we're building towards that. You got to become a playoff team every year. And you go into the start of the season, you have to have the mindset that you got to do things right and make sure you're maxing out all your personnel and become a playoff team, and that gives you a chance to in the playoffs to achieve the ultimate goal of a Stanley Cup. So we're slowly working towards that. We've had some players that have excellent seasons. We still continue to push. I think there's still more on this team that we have to, if we're going to be successful in the playoffs, we have to get after. But so far I give the players a ton of credit. They've worked hard this year under sometimes difficult situation. Like this has not been easy for a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys in there that haven't seen their families in a long time. The quarantine is different than normal, and we understand the whole world is in that predicament also. But for the guys to play at the level they have, I give them credit. It's been they've overcame a lot of obstacles, and they're continuing to push forward.
And before the season, did you set a realistic point or win total for the team this year? And if so, did you achieve it?
Well, we had certain goals that we wanted to try to accomplish, but the main one is making sure we became a playoff team to give us a chance, and that's the main one we were looking for.
Jason Greiger, TSN 1260.
Dave, you mentioned after the last game, hey, no one got injured, sloppy, we move on. How do you approach a game like today? It's kind of odd to have a regular season game on the same day the playoffs start. Yeah. Your team knows you're in. How do you approach this as a coach?
Well, we talk about good habits. We're going to have 2 or 3 things in our game that we're really going to make a focal point today that we think are things that will that have to be in place starting Wednesday. So it's normally you go into a game, your opponent, what's you're going through that whole process, but it's for us today, it's about continuing to have good habits, making sure we have a thought process in place that we need on Wednesday. And you recognize that you want to get through the game. You don't want any injuries. Players want to just stay sharp, but we'll put a couple things in place that we think are important for us moving forward, and hopefully our guys will focus on that.
And Chris Russell and Zach Kassian, how close are they to being eligible in the playoffs?
Zach skated with our taxi group this morning, so that's a good sign that he's moving the right direction. Chris Russell is still skating. He skated on his own today, and I don't anticipate he'll be ready for the start of the playoffs, but they're both back on the ice, which is a good sign.
Rob Tuchkowski, Post Media.
Just following up with Zach Kassian. I mean, he's obviously the kind of exactly what a team is looking for heading into the playoffs. If you can possibly deploy him early on, he's a big guy who moves pretty well. Is that somebody you're very eager to try and add to your lineup as quickly as possible? Well,
we'll see where he's get. He's got to be able to do the job, and it's the pace of a playoff game is going to increase here. So we're not going to put him in a bad position, but ultimately, yes, for sure, we'd like to have him in the lineup if he's 100% healthy. So we'll see where it goes the next few days.
You made mention of the sacrifices in this quarantine season. Just as a coach, were there some things about the COVID schedule or the North Division that you actually liked and would maybe like to see carry forward in some form or another next season?
I didn't mind having when you go into a place and have a series of games or playing a team back to back. I think it builds some rivalry in the game. There's an extra you know, if you win the first game, you know the team's coming out the next game harder. There's adjustments you got to make. So some of that stuff that felt a little more playoff kind of situation in the way you're going about your business, preparing your team was. I enjoyed some of that this year. You know, that's a factor that I'm not sure if it would work in a normal schedule with, you know, when you're playing the other 31 teams next year. But we'll see how it goes. But that's one of the things that our coaching staff has talked about. It's interesting to gear up for the same team 2 times in a row.
Jim Matheson.
Dave, what was the rationale to playing Koskinen today? Because Mike Smith won't have had a game for a full week when he starts the playoffs.
We just talked with Schmidt, talked with Dustin Schwartz, and he got the full game in Montreal and had an extra game that Koskinen, when we pulled Koski early in the game there, so he feels good. He had a good practice day today. Stalock will back up tonight, and Schmidt will get a couple more good practices and ready to go.
And are you going to monitor the minutes your 2 big guns play today with Connor and Leon? Just say you're not playing more than 15 or whatever. You're going to play, but you're not going to play them 20 minutes a game.
Yeah, we'll monitor how the game goes here. Probably the same thing for Nurse and Bear also.
Okay, good. Thank you.